Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I did that again. I said I am Mick Alpha Name. Okay, so now, listen, everyone knows that Ripple has hundreds upon hundreds of banks signed up. So, but what's important is to know how much money is moving through those banks, even more than that, because I love to know that. But what's even more important than that is to know, are they doing well? Are they doing okay? Right? So we're going to start here with Rak Bank. All right. Rak Bank is one of the bankers utilizing RippleNet. This is from Zawiya.com. They're doing a great job over there. Appreciate everybody being here. If you enjoyed this video at any point, I would appreciate it if you click that little like button down there. Thank you so much. So it says here, Rak Bank reports net profit of AED 878.8 million for first 9 months of 2022. They're up 64%, 64.4 to be exact, year over year. Listen, this is another bank here in the United Arab Emirates. We're in so deep there at this point, and this is why it's important to follow those particular happenings. You see that Ripple's getting in deep all around the MENA region. Stellar's getting deep in the MENA region. Hadera's getting deep in the MENA region. There's a reason for that. They're moving further and further away from the dollar. Then you see what's happening as far as BRICS nations. You see what's happening recently, the articles that have been written in the last week or so about China stacking gold. Now, I've been covering gold for a long time on this channel now. But what we've seen is all the central banks and a lot of other powerful entities have been stacking tons of gold. We've covered it extensively. If you look at those chapters on the videos, I usually cover gold at the end of the video, right? Now, there's been honest articles written, I believe, as of late, and they're telling the people that China's doing this to move further away from the dollar. Now, China being one of the countries that's at the forefront of the BRICS nations, obviously that's going to have influence on all of these other nations. Then keep in mind that there have been new applicants to the BRICS nations over the last 2 to 3 weeks. This is significant. You're not going to hear this stuff on the Western media. They're not telling the people so the people can prepare just in case. If there's a massive move away from the dollar and it happens meteorically, then the value of the dollar could plummet. They're not preparing the people, but you can take precautionary measures, whichever you choose. If you choose not to, that's up to you as well. But at least you have the opportunity to know this information. So anyway, there's a reason why the bank coin families are getting deep there, because they understand the tokenization of everything of value, anything that these countries can back their currency with, that's of value, that's unique to them. I think that that's the way that they achieve being fair across the board, because some countries are going to have more gold than others. Well, why go by an old system anyway, even though it works? The gold system, protects value very well. However, why go by that system that the world already shirked once? It can be shirked again. So they went from gold to now they've been running the fiat system. Why not have it where you can, with tokenization, you can back your currency with whatever the special minerals. Remember, they were saying that before. They were like, oh, we can back it with a variety of different things. That's what the news that was coming out of the BRICS nations that they were proposing. It was like earlier this year, maybe late last year. But there was news like that coming out. It wasn't specifically gold. Even though gold is the safest, it wasn't specifically gold. That leads me to believe that with tokenization, if a country is heavy in oil and that's where their bulk of their wealth comes from, back your currency with oil, right? If your country's heavy in gold, like Uganda, back your currency in gold. And if your country has enough fiat or enough pull and you're buying tons of gold, then sure, you can back your currency with gold. But if there's something else that your country has that's unique to them in this time period where everybody's taking control of their own resources, that's another thing. Keep an eye on that. These countries are taking control of their resources. You see what's going on with, and I'm not sure if this is recent. I just read the article. I didn't look at the date, but let's look it up real quick. Hold on. Cocoa. The world's top cocoa producers, Ghana and Ivory Coast, are boycotting meetings in Brussels of the World Cocoa Foundation on cocoa sustainability this Wednesday and Thursday. Authorities in the two West African countries accused multinational chocolate companies and traders of blocking measures to improve cocoa farmers' income. So this has been across the board. I'm just giving you a little example, but across the world, there has been rebellion where countries and entities are saying, whoa, wait a minute. We've let you parasite off of us for long enough, talking to the West, because the West extracts a lot of value over things that they don't control. So that's changing. You have to keep, if you're going to protect your value, you have to keep that in mind. Because at some point, if we reach a point where the rest of the world, mostly the BRICS nations, and like I said, there's a lot of new applicants, at any point they decide, hey, we're done with the West. They don't have to give the West resources. They're beginning, and why do I say that? Over time, they're developing systems where they're independent of the West, where now the West needs them, but they don't really need the West. They're getting to that point where the BRICS nations, I won't say every single individual nation, but they have an ecosystem they're developing where they are trading with each other. They benefit from each other. They don't necessarily need the West. Meanwhile, let's take a big part of the West, like the United States. What do you really produce anymore in mass, right? So the West is to a point where the West needs everyone else. They don't need the West. And the military might of the West is being negated. If everybody else is ganging up together, they're saying we're going to hold front together. That's a big problem. If you have like China, for example, China and their Navy, look, I don't know about the quality of ships and things like that, but if their Navy is exceeding your numbers, then we're talking based on technicality, naval domination. Now people can debate weaponry and such like that, but the numbers speak for themselves. So appearance is also very important and key, because appearance wise, it seems that the BRICS nations are starting to get the edge on the West, and all the West is left with are bully tactics. But over time, what is happening is the rest of the world is becoming more emboldened to go against the Western power authorities. All of them, all the central banks, who is unbelievable the type of power they try to wield. So I'm keeping things like that in mind. When it comes to tokenization, it's going to be huge. This is why the IMF, this is why I've been following the events in Africa so closely. They tried the same thing in Latin America. Now there's kind of a hush over things in certain Latin American countries about their dealings with the IMF and such, right? But in Africa, there's been a lot of news coming out about them going against the IMF trying to restrict growth of certain crypto and such like that. It's about control. So whereas, the rest of crypto would suffer and the bank coins would win, 100%, I believe that. However, at the same time, I have to also keep my eye on the petrodollar. A lot of people are holding a lot of value in the dollar as opposed to something like gold, right? But also we have to transact in that dollar, like in everyday life. Most of the time, most people are doing that, right? So I have to also keep an eye on that petrodollar, because at any point I need to know the catalyst that can make that value of that dollar plummet. I do believe in the future, maybe not now, and who knows how rapidly this is going to occur or how slow, I don't know. But the dollar is in jeopardy. It's in jeopardy. And I think if you listen to a lot of the top people, they're saying the same thing that I have been saying. That dollar is in jeopardy. They know that, look, opposing nations understand that the dollar is the way to defeat the West. Simple as that. If you defeat that dollar, everything else is going down, because the United States is really at the forefront of the West. They are the big power. Defeat their dollar, they got nothing. I mean, they have other options, but do you really want to take that option? I don't think so. So these are just things that I'm keeping in mind. All right. So now let's go back here. I said all that. I didn't even get to the bank information yet. Not the depth of it. So Rock Bank reports net profit of AED 878.8 million for the first 9 months of 2022. So once again, banks in the MENA region are exploding, as I said they would be. I said that these banks were going to be doing well, especially with the changing of the guard in the world. And they are. Then we go down here. So that's plus 64% year over year. Total assets, AED 63.8 billion. 17, that's plus 17% year over year. Every single bank that we've covered, Attajari Wafa Morocco, Attajari Wafa Europe, QNB. Now we're covering Rock Bank, all in that region. They're all doing well. Do you see a trend? All of them are doing well. But then you look at some of the Credit Suisse, however you want to pronounce it. Take a look at Credit Suisse. Some of these Western banks are not doing well, and they're keeping a lot of statistics off the data sheets. I believe I discussed that in the last members only video. I believe that's where it was. Get a chance, check that out. Gross loans and advances, AED 36 billion, plus 7.5% year over year. Tell me XRP's price is going to stay where it is. Come on now. They're a Ripple in that partner. How many banks do we have to partner with in the MENA region before people just say, yeah, at some point when XRP is being utilized, and it will. It's the key to on-demand liquidity. If it's whatever capacity is used, it has to be used. You can read the white papers for yourself. How is that price going to stay where it is now? Absolutely not. Everybody's excited off of a retail explosion, and really it's not going to be retail. When that case ends, if it's a positive result, and I'll let the lawyers handle all of that. And you know, I hear certain dates thrown out there. I'm sticking to what the lawyer said. If it happens earlier, I want it to happen earlier, but I'm going to stick with what the lawyer said. The lawyer said about March, February to March. So be it then. It's a few months. That means nothing to me. I'm a long holder anyway. So the timeline remains the same for setting up the infrastructures. 3 to 4 years. Then there was a document came out. The Bank of International Settlements came out with a document recently. I don't know how many of you saw it, but they came out with a document recently that shortened the time frame. They shortened it. They were saying 3 to 5 years. Now we're down 1 year that would have left 4 years. Now they're saying 2 to 3 years. They're trying to force everybody to have their infrastructure structures up and running in 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3, they shortened the timeline. Now, whether the banks can actually meet that timeline, that's questionable. That is very questionable. But I understand the Bank of International Settlements wants to survive the Great Reset. Nobody is safe unless you take precautionary measures. They know that. So they're trying to ring the alarm saying, hey, put your foot on the pedal and go a little faster with your CBDCs. They're trying to tell these weak little banks, some of these weak little banks are not listening. I told you, some of these commercial banks are rogue. So now we're going to do Krungsri Bank. All right, Krungsri. This is, I believe this bank is in Thailand. So these amounts are in Thai baht. All right. Well, I believe all of you already know that. A lot of you have been over to Thailand. You're buying properties in Thailand. You're probably living there right now in a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. I was going to say beautiful beach area, but some people, it's just interesting. A lot of people don't like the beachfront property. So that's why I held back. I'm just going to say beautiful area. I love Thailand. But anyway, so financial position, another bank that's utilizing RippleNet, XRP. Assets, this is from June 22nd, all right? So this is 2,599,139,000,000 Thai baht. That's healthy. That's healthy. Deposits, 1,819,000,000,000, 12 million Thai baht. This is very good. So what I'm trying to show here, and you can do the conversions yourself if you'd like to, but all the banks that Ripple is dealing with are healthy. They're doing well. This is another reason why, they have no problem, just in case Ripple has to operate outside of the US. They have no problems. It would change almost nothing except for the fate of the West, because the West will fall. They need this new financial system. More than anybody else, the West needs the new financial system. So comprehensive income over it says 4 years / 6 months, interest income, 50,257,000,000 Thai baht. This is a healthy financial institution. All right. So now let's move on here. We have a lot of information to go through. So I wanted to cover this early on. I usually cover gold news later, but earlier in the video, I was talking about China stacking gold. Now, we've covered a lot of central banks stacking gold. We've covered some of those articles recently. But China in particular is in a very unique position where they could be very damaging in whatever they do. They can be very damaging to the West. And this is an article on finbowl.com. And it goes as such. China likely stockpiling gold to lessen reliance on US dollar. What do you think that's going to do to the value of the dollar? Over time. And with China's influence, what do you think that's going to do to the value of that dollar that everybody praises and worships, that they're taking comfort in? This is something that I watch. Our families are tied to these dollars, these fiats, right? Our fates, our destinies are tied to that. So for those of us who are still heavily utilizing such a thing, I trust my value in I trust my value in my investments. All right. But let's go down here. And listen, if the dollar has any type of major problem, what do you think the banks are going to do? The banks will be harmed the most. You saw that article that came out recently where the banks were saying the same thing that Coinbase said. Hey, if we have a problem, your money is ours. You'll be listed as creditors to the bank. What? So they can keep your money. Right? Really? In the mainstream media, they didn't report that widely. You may get an article here and there on some of these things, but they don't tell you all of that. You got to protect yourself. Keep your guard up, your elbows in, protect your ribs. Keep your guard up. Keep your chin down. Protect yourself in life like it's a fight. Didn't our parents teach us that? Yeah, you remember when we boxed when we were younger? You remember that? Keep your chin down. Keep your elbows in, your guard up, and protect yourself at all times. Life is like that. Life is like that. Protect yourself. It says here, this year, central banks have been on a buying frenzy for gold. That we know here on this channel. But it is unclear which ones are responsible for most of that spending, which has fueled speculation that China is a major participant. There's no speculation needed. You think that they're... Analysts believe that China and perhaps other nations, seeing how Russia has been affected by monetary sanctions imposed by the West. Listen, everyone saw how the West tried to utilize sanctions, even though it backfired on the West. They're feeling it right now, but it doesn't matter. Everyone saw that and they said to themselves, we're in a position now where we don't need to be injured by the US dollar. We don't need them holding this over our head. It's the same reason why everyone's moving away from a SWIFT system. Any system that could be weaponized against them, they're getting rid of it. They're finding ways to get rid of it. That's going to lead us to the XLM news later. Major happenings with Stellar. People better pay attention. Now, listen, I'm not throwing out a price. I'm not telling you to buy or sell. That's not what I do on this channel. I'm a humble researcher sharing what I find. That's it. You make your own decisions. But it's undeniable. I'm showing you factual proof. There's a major activity happening. What you do with that information is up to you. Right? I know what I'm going to do with it. Let's continue on here. This is a crazy day. I'm excited. I'm fired up. Feeling good. Went to the gym today. You guys went to the gym? You go to the gym? You exercise today? Did you get your rest for the weekend? You ready? You do a little meditation? I did some meditation the other day. I felt good, man. Felt real good. I was outside. It was cold, but I was outside. And it was very, very nice. I listened to a lot of wisdom teachings that day also. It was very nutritious for the mind. Let's continue on here. It says here, seeing how Russia has been affected by monetary sanctions imposed by the West, must be making haste to minimize their dependency on the dollar. Central banks purchased a net amount of 399 tons of gold from July through September. That is mind-blowing. I keep telling people, you see how gold price went up? Did you see what we covered in one of those recent videos where it said gold was going to pass 2,000? What? Yeah. We keep winning on this channel. Yeah, I'm not taking any losses. We keep doing good. But yeah, so, and in addition to gold having a very bright future, we're going to cover another article probably. I think I have that article here where everyone on an individual level in the rest of the world, I won't say everyone, a lot of individuals in the rest of the world are starting to stack up gold also, because their currencies, they understand their currencies are in jeopardy. And it's unfortunate that a lot of individuals in the United States don't see that the dollar is also possibly in jeopardy. But other people do see their currency in jeopardy, so they're starting to stack up on gold, knowing that gold can preserve their value, and they can spend that value of gold, right? And spend it outright. The central banks are protecting themselves. There's a reason for this. There's a reason for it. That fiat doesn't mean anything. They have to have that gold, right? Meanwhile, everybody else just has this fiat, this IOU, this debt. Let's continue on to another article here. Getting through the gold news a little early today. Don't worry, we have some Algorand news coming, some stellar. This is also on Finbold. Gold surges to a 3-month high after Powell's dovish rate hike comments. Oh, dovish, is that right? We're going to cover a little article about inflation. They're manipulating numbers. We're going to cover an article about that. Oh, yeah. These politicians and these central bank heads, oh my humble opinion, they're dirty, filthy. My goodness, man. The bulls in the gold market have stepped on the gas in response to comments made by the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. We knew this. Listen, there's a lot of reasons gold is going up. We saw this coming months ago. We prepared months ago. Everybody who's heavy into gold knew these times were going to come and prepared when gold was at a low. So now everyone's just enjoying watching the price go up and counting their profits. It's only the people that don't know catalysts, that don't follow the markets, they get in like late. There's a lot of people getting in right now, which is not bad because next year, like I said, gold could explode more if certain catalysts occur. We'll see. Got to stay up on the catalyst. You have to research. Let's continue on here. Stepped on the gas in response to comments made by the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, who took a dovish stance towards U.S. monetary policy. It's just what he's saying. What is he actually going to do? That's just my opinion. As a result of Powell's comments on Wednesday, November 30th, there has been a steep decline in the value of the U.S. dollar index. Prices for crude oil have increased noticeably, and yields on U.S. government bonds have fallen. Let's scroll down here. On the daily charts, there is an uptrend in price movement for the metal, which indicates that more price action ranging from sideways to higher is probable in the near future. 24-hour gold spot price, gold technical analysis. The daily chart demonstrates that prices are increasing above the 200-day simple moving average. It is doing so at a very early stage in the momentum swing. We have another bank, another Ripple bank, Itau Unibanco Holding. Let's take a look at what's going on with them. Every single one of these banks is doing very well. So net income from September 2022 was measured at $9 billion. $9 billion. That's very healthy. Interest income, $51.81 billion. Interest expense, $39.54 billion. Loan loss provision, $7 billion. Non-interest income, $11.7 billion. Total assets, September 2022, $2.4 trillion. Listen, when you're hearing about assets and you're hearing about value, imagine those things being tokenized, because that's what's probably going to happen. You have a lot of experts coming out and telling everyone that the majority of everything that the banks have or the financial system have is going to be tokenized. So that not only brings a good amount of value to XRP, XLM, Algorand, if they are indeed utilized, and I believe that they will, but that's just my humble opinion. But also it brings a good amount of volume, right? All of that congestion on the chain, right? Then what does it do to something like quant when you have all that value and volume flowing across something like quant, right? You think about that. How does that affect the price? You saw what retail does to the price. We had a few parabolic runs during this bloody bear market These are things that I keep in mind, right? So now this bank is also healthy. So that's 3 banks that we cover there. 3 banks, all of them healthy, all of them utilizing RippleNet. Now let's continue on here. All right. Appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you so much. So here's a little bit of Algorand news, right? They made this tweet from the Algorand Foundation. It says, at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, join us in a conversation with the amazing Silvio McCauley to discuss how does Algorand solve the blockchain trilemma. Now, what's important here is who he's having a discussion with. He's having a discussion with someone named Ronnie TA380 from Citi. Let's click on his link and let's actually see if we can get a full name here. We may be able to look him up. So Ronit Goze, my apologies, sir, if I pronounce your name wrong, is emerging tech, future of finance and digital at Citi Global Insights. Do you think Silvio McCauley's having a conversation with this individual for no reason at all? Usually it's because these companies are working with Algorand. So what happened with the Bank of Italy, right? Everything else, you know, when they have meetings with the healthcare industry, all of a sudden they're utilizing Algorand, building infrastructures on Algorand. You saw what happened when Koi banks, you know, what they were doing down, I believe it was in Colombia, right? Then next thing you know, they're using Algorand as a traceability protocol, which they just did an update on, and they're going to continue using Algorand as a traceability protocol down there. So every single time, typically, it has been they're having meetings and discussions with these companies because these companies are interested in utilizing their services. And here they are having an interview. Silvio McCauley, the closer. The only one that I would say is on level with Stacey Warden, who brings in the most partnerships and deals. Silvio McCauley's the only one I would say is right up there. These two are closers. They bring in the big money every single time. This is why it's like they only do interviews and sit in meetings when it's important. Hey, you can make up your own mind, but this is what I've seen. All right. So this is big. So Citi and Algorand having dialogue is good. We'll keep an eye on this. But as of right now, I like what I'm seeing and we'll see where this goes. All right. So now let's move on to here. We have this also. We had a tweet from Algorand about Aramid Finance. Aramid Finance coming to the Algorand blockchain. So I clicked on the link to see what it's all about. And here's what it says here. It says Aramid Finance cross-chain interoperability protocol, starting with Algorand, Ethereum, Polygon, and Near Aurora. So this is a little bit more opportunities for building and expanding on Algorand. I'm not so big on bridges. Is this a bridge? Let's read a couple of their tweets here. It says, hey, Algo fam, we are excited to bring decentralized cross-chain protocol and a new secure way to bridge assets. So I guess it is a bridge, right? So I like that they're expanding. This could be good. I hope they're secure bridges. In my humble opinion, I'm always going to go with a bridgeless system. Quant every time. Overledger every time. Bridgeless, gateless system. So bridges have had a problem for quite some time. I told you that before. It's one of the reasons why I don't see a lot of central banks going towards bridge systems. I see a lot of the central banks and regular banks going towards quant. Actually, quant has been making a record amount of partnerships this year, in my humble opinion. But this is good to see. But I keep my eye on bridges. I keep a sharp eye on them. You know, they get hacked. So you got to be careful with bridge systems. But all the best to them. And I hope that does not happen. But with me saying that, I hope they're taking every possible precaution. If this is indeed a bridge, it says secure way to bridge assets. So I'm assuming that it's a bridge, right? I could be wrong, but I'm going by the wording that they use. I'm hoping that they take every possible precaution to make whatever they're doing as secure as possible. And that's all I have to say about that. But Algorand overall is doing well. And I hope that Aramid Finance is going to bring something positive to the table that can only grow, bring more congestion, have more people using Algo. You know, Algorand is one of the bank coins I love the most. Like, I love them. I like everything that they do. So anyway, More Algorand news. Here we go. I'm telling you now, there's a reason that the Bank of Italy was testing Algorand as an infrastructure. Keep your eye on them. Here's the title of this article here. It says, after cash row, Italy's central bank chief stresses its independence. Let's read a little bit about this. There's a lot going on today. So it says here, the head of Italy's central bank stressed its independence on Sunday after it became dragged into a row with coalition lawmakers over the use of cash in shops. Quote, the Bank of Italy does not depend on the commercial banks. This is what I was saying before. These commercial banks, they're starting to rear their ugly heads. See, the commercial banks never liked how much power the central banks have over them. Although it's not the central bank's fault how you set up your bank to be I'm assuming these are the public banks, right? Not the private. The private banks shouldn't have any issue. But then again, I don't know how the public and private banks work specifically in the over there in that particular region. I know in the West, the private banks don't have any problem. They're issuing debt and creating dollars, creating currency, right? Every time they issue debt, it's a special thing that they can do. All right. So I don't think they have a major problem. But the commercial banks as a whole never like the control that central banks have. They will take any opportunity to go against them. And they do flex their muscles with all that lobbying money and money paid behind the scenes. And then you have the politicians going against the central banks like you have here now. How do you get around this? Easy. If you institute a system utilizing Algorand, then you can have a good replacement that is controllable in your CBDC. A good replacement for cash. Like it not replace cash, but like a placeholder for cash. If someone doesn't want to use cash, then they can use the CBDC. You have proper liquidity, you have traceability. And then here, it solves this problem down here. It says here, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's right-wing government has proposed scrapping fines for retailers who refuse to accept cards for payments under 60 euros. It's a way to have transparency on these types of things so everyone knows what's going on. Are they fined? How much is the fine? How much was actually spent, right? Are these laws being enforced properly? And there will be transparency there with raw data as opposed to people trying to communicate via word in meetings where words can be skewed. The data doesn't have to be skewed. We can all access the same data over Algorand. Algorand solves all of these problems, in my humble opinion. And then I think that this is one of the reasons why the Bank of Italy is testing Algorand, so they can get around all this nonsense, right? Says the Bank of Italy is autonomous in judgment. Woo! They're telling commercial banks, hey, we do what we want. You don't tell us what to do. Says it is autonomous in judgment, independent in substance. Oh, they're taking a hard stance. Go Italy. Okay. But is also independent by law. Wow, that is powerful. But I'm going to keep an eye on this because I think that maybe this might push them forward with instituting the DLT infrastructures of Algorand. We will see. I could be completely wrong. We will see. Because they're not going to want to continue to go back and forth with this coalition of lawmakers. So the commercial banks, obviously, are probably lobbying to have these lawmakers step in and put pressure on the central bank. How crazy is that? Oh, I told you that there's a war going on in the financial system, and you're seeing it right here. So, okay, so let's move on to another article here. So a little bit of stellar news. You have to keep up with Velo. Velo has been making a lot of moves here. I like to read this type of thing. And it says here, Velo is committed on building our Web3 ecosystem, which is a hybrid solution of centralized and decentralized CDFI, decentralized products and services built upon Web 3.0 architecture. It's built on Stellar. Velo runs on Stellar. Velo runs on Stellar. So they're going to bring good congestion to the chain. Not to mention, but because it's built on Stellar, I'm assuming that all their wallets have to hold a modicum of Xlm, even if it's behind the scenes and people don't know it. There's some way that it goes in. You can factor in the price of the Xlm that needs to be held, which is almost the price is a non-factor, right? And then it puts it in behind the scenes, and it just calculates that price in combination with whatever the Velo protocol is going for. That's what I would think is happening. I don't know if I explained that clearly, but yeah, you're pretty much combining two of the prices. But what the people are presented when they're holding Velo tokens is just the raw price of what they believe is a Velo token, which Velo tokens are built upon the Stellar blockchain, Stellar protocol. XLM is utilized for transaction fees and for wallets and any of that type of stuff that's built on the Stellar blockchain, unless they tell me different. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section if you view this in a different way. Either way, I believe it is factual that this is going to bring good congestion to the Stellar blockchain. But let's continue on here, right? So this is very, very good. So more congestion, more things built on the Stellar blockchain. Remember also, Velo, Mike Kennedy went from Intrastellar. Who founded Intrastellar? Jed McCaleb. Jed McCaleb brought Mike Kennedy in to run Intrastellar. Intrastellar and Velo merged. Mike Kennedy now runs Velo. Remember, you have to remember all these connections. Stellar has a lot of mergers that have happened. Then Velo merged with LightNet. LightNet is also built on Stellar. LightNet wants to replace Swift. LightNet has been expanding exponentially. We've been covering it all year. You think not? Let's go to an article right now about LightNet. LightNet Group partners with Raffles Family Office. You understand? I don't think you guys are seeing what's happening here. My goodness, we are expanding. LightNet Group partners with Raffles Family Office to expand payment ecosystem to Revo. That's Asia's first digital asset-based multifamily office platform. Let's scroll down here. I love the giant LightNet logo. Let's go. Come on, bring some more value to Stellar blockchain, bring some more volume, congestion, all of that stuff. I want it all. I want it all. Let's read this little tidbit here. This is on yahoo.com, by the way. So it says, Singapore-based LightNet Group, which is built on Stellar and has merged with Velo, announced today the completion of Raffles Family Office's strategic investment. The funding will support LightNet's ongoing operations and help enhance the development of LightNet products and solutions. As part of the transaction, LightNet will secure a strategic stake in Raffles FO's digital asset wealth management platform, Revo. We have to look into that now. The partnership will provide valuable technical support and payment infrastructure to drive and deliver success for both parties by enabling LightNet to expand its payment ecosystem to cover institutional funds transfer, a major component of Raffles FO's service offering to support ultra high net worth families in the Listen, are you hearing what they're saying? Let me read that again. Now, listen, there's no guarantees, of course, but that's mind blowing. This is built on Stellar. Transaction fees, congestion. Come on now. XLM and come on now. Let's read this little tidbit again. A major component of Raffles FO service offering to support ultra high net worth families in the region through Revo. Theoretically speaking, what does it do to that price if we have some high values of money? High amounts of money. I won't say it's a high volume. Who knows how much these people are going to actually use it? Who knows? I don't know. We'll just keep an eye on it, but I know that this is good. That's how I feel. The partnership reaffirms LightNet's vision to revolutionize the payments and remittance space with next generation infrastructure and services across the entire spectrum, from the unbanked or underbanked. I love it how they're saying this. Watch this. To wealthy individuals. See, now they're honest. I like that. Other parts of Stellar should be honest too. You want all that money moving across Stellar. Come on now. But some other portions of Stellar say only the underbanked and the unbanked. No, come on. You want all that value. You're here to move money. Just be honest about it. But LightNet is honest. They said from unbanked, underbanked to wealthy individuals, they're saying we want all that money. I like that. I feel the same way. It says, and family offices. Let's read this little quote here. It says, quote, "We are delighted to participate in a strategic investment in LightNet, which focuses on the next generation financial infrastructure. We will continue to play our part in revolutionizing the world of finance, new financial system, working together with partners to unlock the potential of blockchain technology. Stellar. All of this is stellar. They're going by different names. You can't have the same people running it and say it's different. You can't. Jed McCaleb is what, the founder and advisor on Interstellar. Then Jed McCaleb is an advisor on Velo or something like that. Then Jed McCaleb is an advisor for LightNet. Come on, you can put the pieces together. Oh man, it's all stellar. And they're all built on stellar. They're all, oh my goodness. Anyway, let's continue on here. Monthly producers prices came in higher than expected for November, suggesting that interest rates will remain higher for longer. Everybody's saying dovish. Like, oh my goodness. I've been telling people this. If they're dovish and they actually stand on that and go forward with lowering interest rates, it's a setup. It's a setup. Inflation has gone higher, but they're negating certain data. Let's continue to read. It says, however, the year-on-year rate for underlying producer prices, which exclude, here's what they're leaving out, which excludes food and energy, has declined. Oh, that's so nice. Why don't we take everything as a whole? We want to bring inflation down overall, yes? So why are we compartmentalizing the data? So, you know, a lot of the bank coins are deep in Saudi Arabia or deep in the MENA region overall. So let's just read this little tidbit here. This is from money.us news, okay? Saudi Arabia's GDP grows 8.8% year on year in Q3, Statistics Authority. So we're getting deep in a region that is doing very, very well. Saudi Arabia's economy grew by 8.8%. Oil activities grew by 14.2% year on year in the third quarter. Growth, this is good growth. But GDP, my apologies, some ad popped up. But GDP growth was also boosted by 6% growth in non-oil activities. So they're even growing in that way. The General Authority of Statistics data showed, though non-oil activity fell 0.5% quarter over quarter, Saudi Arabia said last week it expects to post a second consecutive budget surplus in 2023. Though down 84% from this year as uncertain global economic outlook and lower crude prices look set to weigh on the top oil exporters' revenues. The Statistics Authority said GDP at current prices amounted to 1.036 trillion reals, which is $275 billion. There's a reason why the bank coins are getting in deep in the MENA region. There's lots of money there. All right, so everything's looking good there. Let's continue on here. Let's end off with a little bit of gold news. This gold makes me happy. WGC predicts robust gold bar and coin investment demand in Europe. What was I saying earlier in the video? I told you, the people are waking up. Listen, I'm telling you right now, I believe that if anything happens, the West is going to be last. The citizens in the West who believe in that dollar so much, they'll be last. They'll be buying gold at a very, very high price. They're going to be the top buyers. I'm telling you. This is what it's looking like. Europe is waking up because they're going through some real stuff, some real bad stuff right now. Right? But anyway, let's read this little tidbit here. The report says that the global economy is currently at an inflection point. The outlook for the upcoming year and the performance of gold in 2023 will be determined primarily by inflation and the steps taken by central banks across the globe to contain it. There is a likelihood of recession in major markets. We're already in a recession. We're in deceleration. But let's continue on. Traditionally, gold does well during times of recession. We've been telling people that on the channel for a while now. Gold holds its value through almost everything. It holds it very well. That's why the banks are getting loaded with gold right now. They're preparing. Contrary to equities and corporate bonds, the yellow metal has delivered positive returns in 5 out of the last 7 sessions. It's been doing well, very well. Although micro factors are likely to have higher impact on gold prices, the geopolitical flare-ups could lend support to gold investment as seen in the initial quarter. So they're already seeing this in the initial quarter of the current year. The consumer gold demand in China is expected to come out of the challenges of 2022 and return to 2021 levels in the upcoming year. The gold trade body expects European gold bar and coin investment demand to remain robust in 2023. There you have it. There you have it. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.